It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Byrne. As always, I have the ladies of Your View. Hello, ladies.
Excellent
morning. Excellent morning to you. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm doing fine.
So this whole week you're doing the gold thingy with the clothing
browns
and all.
And golds and oranges.
Nice.
That's the theme.
We've seen the theme already.
Okay.
What's up?
Well, I think it's going to be a hot topic. We're talking about it. But yesterday, my sister was stuck for a bit at the mall because they had to lock the place down. Some people had gone there to, you know, loot the place and protest. Then my brother, on his way back from work along the Bode Thomas, there were all sorts of people on the streets ransacking offices and buildings, you know, so I was a bit hyper, you know, waiting for them. You know, I was just saying, thank God for that app that these drivers have, where when you join them, they're able to send. So I was able to monitor his movement till he got home. That gave me a little bit of peace of mind, yes.
How are you doing, Gajula?
I'm busy. School is about to resume next week.
Yes, I've not done school shopping. I'm about to go and start, maybe today.
Morayo,
Are you doing?
you're fired.
Exactly, I'm not late.
Are you late?
It's still next week now.
I'm not late, but things are more expensive now. Yeah.
But
So
I need to buy school bags.
2 months before, a month before.
Okay.
So you get things cheaper. Yeah, so, but I'm running around. I have to get some things ready because my lovely daughter will be going to the boarding house on Sunday.
For real? What are you carrying out like a handbag?
Planning to ship them away, and then she's acting like she's missing them.
No, but you know, no, that's unfair. That's unfair, right? That's unfair. I would want my kids to stay, but the school I want, it's not around me. You know where I stay now? It's not around my area.
But they have good schools.
That's true. So you're happy where she's going to? You're happy?
Yes, I am happy.
This is great.
I'm happy.
How are you doing, Nima?
I'm fine. Oh, hey, I'm afraid for today. I have speaking. I'm speaking to the would-be lawyers at the Lex Z summer camp, law camp today, and it's supposed to be at 9, but I'm here, and I have to get to VI before the.
We hope traffic is good.
You definitely get there. Don't worry.
I pray.
You'll get there.
Because the traffic I saw this morning, I was thinking I had an alternative, and then Miriam
that
just
alternative is blocked.
But they know that you're on the show, right? So
they know. So I'm AEC. I'm
on the show.
I'm on the show. I'm working. I'll be there.
Yeah. All right. So our grandma is back from the US.
Yes, I saw that video.
Mama is back, and it was so nice to have her back.
She's a celeb.
She's seriously. Anyone missed it? Mama is back in town. Yeah. So and she got the kids some chocolates and all that. So it's nice.
Is she happy to be back?
She's happy to be back.
Okay.
She couldn't recognize this, my baby. She's like, wow, he's grown. And now he's there waving to her. She was so excited. So that's the kind of thing that
good in your now.
Happy. Anyway, we'd like to again to thank Cadbury Bonvita. They're here giving out. Have you gotten your cup of beverage? Please confirm that they gave you. So we're just following for them for nothing. Fantastic. You got yours. Nice. Cream Slices again sent us a nice cake. Thank you very much to Cream Slices as usual. Every Wednesday they've been very consistent with the cake. Thank you so much to Cream Slices. We're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll review the top stories in the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to start with the Punch. Xenophobic attacks. Nigerians fume, demand tough actions against South Africa and firms. Naira Marley's songs lifestyle influenced me, says a 16-year-old cybercrime suspect. Crude reserve will hit $40 billion barrels in 2023, says NNPC. Ondo man sentenced to death for killing his girlfriend. Partial closure, gridlock returns to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Ogun, Lagos reach agreement against land grabbers. $9.6 billion judgment. Federal government insists on probe. Confident of victory. Special forces to police Southwest Forest State Inspector General. And Nigerian Labour Congress agree with negotiating council's decision, says Waba. All right, xenophobic attack is going to be our hot topic because that's what everybody's talking about. So we'll not talk too much about it in the papers. But let's pick a few other stories. The Naira Marley
so there's a 16-year-old boy who's been paraded by the police amongst fraudsters, cybercrime fraudsters. The 16-year-old boy's name is Gabriel Michael. He said he learned his hacking from YouTube, and he hacked into a particular person's account and took over 187,000 naira, and so he was arrested. And he blames his influence on Naira Marley. He says he sees from Naira Marley's videos how he spends money and sort of encourages it. And he said he's also surrounded by friends who encourage you to keep doing this. He said he's really sorry, he regrets his action, he knows this thing really well, he would like to work with government, law enforcement agencies.
There was an event I went to, I think it was JCI meeting I went for, and the people there saying that, listen, in their neighborhood, Yahoo is normal. It's actually everybody around. In fact, they train you on how to use the system to fraud others. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that the police are aware, but they are too scared to come to that community. So they know where these people are.
It's even very... it's very important that we pay attention to what our kids are exposed to. Now, this is a young man saying that this is what I see on TV, and this has influenced my actions.
The man that was sentenced to death, who was that story?
Yes, so a 26-year-old man, Saliu Oladayo, who stabbed the girlfriend last year in May 18. They had an argument, and then he used the kitchen knife and stabbed her. The case has been under investigation, but now he's been sentenced to hanging. So I'm glad that happened. Then finally, before you run off, NLC, they're about to have the minimum wage negotiations today. So they are saying that if the federal government presents something meaningful, that they will just accept. So that we can
negotiate. I thought they've already accepted.
No, they have not. That's the meeting.
Give commendations to the governor of Kaduna State, who has already started implementing paying the same amount. So I don't understand.
But then renegotiate again.
Are we
renegotiating
the amount? They're not negotiating the amount. They're negotiating the work structures
and the levels.
Moving on to The Nation. Uproar over killings of Nigerians in South Africa. The Vice President says it is very sad and very unfortunate. This is absolutely unacceptable and unconscionable. I'm convening the ministers in the security cluster to keep a close eye on these acts of wanton violence. That's Ramaphosa. That's the president of South Africa. Wadume, army will punish culprits. Teacher arraigned for sending nude photos to people. Goodness me. And 2 more suspects on FBI list arrested. Obioma, others for Booker Prize. I think that's a good story. Obioma is, I think it's Chigozie Obioma, I believe. He's an author, and he just published a book. And it's a fictional novel which made, I think, the top 13 or so books that have been shortlisted to get the Booker Prize. Now, Booker Prize is very prestigious. Outstanding is a award given to outstanding fictional stories. And he's being nominated, which is a good thing. I think we should clap for him. And these are Nigerians doing great things abroad. Yes. So he hopefully he can win the over 60,000, I think it's 50,000 pounds. Okay. That's the prize he's likely to win if he becomes the winner. So that's a good story.
The teacher who was arraigned
by
the magistrate court, a 40-year-old mathematics teacher. He was accused of sending nude pictures to this particular student, several students, but this particular student, a 14-year-old girl. And then what happened was that he requested for the girl's number. The girl doesn't have a phone, so the girl gave the mother's number to him. And then he's been forwarding the messages, the nude pictures, the pornography to the mother. The mother didn't do anything till he now started requesting for the girl's nude picture. And so she just made a report to the police, and the case is on. So he's been arraigned in court. I hope we see the end of the matter. This is terrible.
Saving Grace is the girl's mom. Yes. Number. Thank God. So those of us who quickly give out our phones to our children, we just might be saving them.
Interesting. All right.
People like this.
There's another...
Wadume follow-up. Okay. So the Chief of Army Staff was talking that while declaring open the declaring open the second and third quarter of the Chief of Army Staff Conference 2019, he said that those indicted by the panel, and I don't still understand that panel, but those indicted by the panel would be punished. Nobody would go scot-free, saying that, you know, Wadume is opening up on a lot of things and that they are on top of it. This assurance, I feel it is unnecessary.
I don't know what you mean by you don't understand panel. Nigeria, that's all we know, committees. By sending an envoy to South Africa, committee, just gather people together and go and... I mean, so it's our lifestyle here. So
the army is not empowered to prosecute this crime. We know that some people have compromised the army, but this is a crime that's carried on, and this person has confessed to style and methods and, you know, how he operates. Okay. Let's just prosecute this person. The police should just go to court, charge him already.
Let us move on. Daily Sun. Mob action in South Africa. Anger over attacks against Nigerians. Governors lobby Buhari over the 614 billion naira bailout refund. Kidnappers abduct mom of Governor Badaru's ex-aide and demand 50 million naira ransom. Will storm forest to flush out kidnappers and bandits, says Inspector General Police. Which stories are we taking here?
The bailout. So we know that the federal government had asked after the last meeting, National Economic Council meeting, the bailout funds that was given to them. So the governors are saying that this is not going to be possible, at least in the short term. Most of the governors are new, and they're saying that some of them do not even know how this money was even dispensed in their states. Some of them are already going through recessions in their own state economies. So they say that this is not possible at this time. So they're going to sit with the president to find out if there's a way that they can do this, you know, a bit gently.
Some governors, I spoke to the governor I spoke to, he was saying that they use some of their funds to build roads, and which is the federal roads. So you're going to net that off and get
their personal funds.
State government funds.
Okay.
They have to fix federal roads.
Okay.
So that fund, instead of them refunding it, they'll be netted off. But it depends on how. That's why they need to reconcile and see who pays what. Moving on now to Vanguard. Xenophobic attacks all over the papers. Let's take another story that is not here. Nigeria's bastardized local government system fueling insecurity, says SGF. How we used research to oust PDP in 2015, says Fashola. Ibadan traditional crisis, no law has abrogated our crowns, new kings insist. Taraba police killings, you won't be spared, if indicted by pro-panel Barata Sales soldiers. And ignore PNID's grandstanding, says our Minister of Information. What the PID story?
So I want to take the PNID story. So the Minister for Information was, talking about the PNID again, saying that the federal government is very confident that this was a scam and that they're confident of obtaining that judgment on their appeal. And, they've done all the work that they need to do so that the PNID is mainly...
I found it a bit comforting.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, I found his words comforting that, okay, hopefully we can there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
In Nigeria, words are one thing, action. Let's see how it turns out.
I just feel that hopefully, because he believes it's a scam from day one, and there are also international collaborators that caused this. So they're trying to walk away with about 20% of our entire
Let's quickly
budget.
Talk about Fashola addressing at the Lagos State University LASU Research and Fair Endowment Research Grants yesterday that was launched. He was there speaking on how, and he was asked a lot of questions, and he talked about how they were able to win based on research. This is someone who is usually quick to give you facts and figures as to how things, and he said that was what the APC relied on. They done their research, they see where the PDP was failing, they highlighted it to the public, and they were able to use it to, win
Well, I've heard
an election. Thank you.
Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. He highlighted corruption, insecurity. Well, we're still highlighting insecurity. But Buhari came back, Nigerian Tribune. Xenophobic attacks, as I said, it's all over the papers. Let's pick another story. Inspector General deploys patrol vehicle SWAT team to Southwest. Why I paid 8.5 billion naira 2 days to hand over ex-Bauchi governor tells court. And Buhari cancels FEC meeting, wants ministers to study memo.
Yeah.
What's that story? Yeah.
Yes, I do. So the meeting, which usually holds every Wednesday, has not held since the inauguration. And he's saying that he had to cancel the meeting today again because he needed the ministers to attend to the memos, that the memos have been sent back to the ministry so that the new people who've just been brought in will have a look and be able to make inputs into the memo. So
fantastic.
Hopefully,
Daily Trust. Xenophobic attacks. Buhari sends envoy to South Africa. Let's see. Shoyinka, UK setting bad example for democracy. PDP governorship candidate in Kogi, Bayelsa emerged today. FJ will soon end states and local government joint accounts, says SGF. 3 policemen suspects die in road crash. And NCAA proposes regulations on drone operation.
So
SGF, okay, go ahead.
The 3 policemen were traveling in Taraba State along the Ibi-Wukari Road, and they had an accident. And police officers, although there are conflicting reports whether the suspects all died. So some are saying they're in hospital injured. But the thing that's quite... what is quite interesting about this story is that it's almost at the same point where the Wadume incident happened. So even though the report is saying that it was due to burst tires, people are looking at, you know, I am looking at it, I'm wondering, is this just a coincidence or is there something more to this? And those police officers that were in this accident were part of the police officers sent to investigate the Wadume issue.
Right.
So we just hope that it's not that it's a bigger conspiracy.
So the federal government is saying that the joint accounts between the local government and the state government will soon end, because so far so good. They've not been able to give the local governments enough autonomy to handle their funds and resources, and that has led to the crimes that we have today. If we look critically, we'll see that the baby factories that we're having, the banditry we're having is part of it, because if the local councillors are able to work with the people on ground, the landlord association, yes,
with the issue
they
of
will be able to
Boko
curb crime.
That, local governments, the fact that they are weak, has not helped
the
various states. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. The only news Nigerians are talking about today are the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. We'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So following the recent xenophobic attacks on foreigners living in South Africa, many Nigerians have taken it upon themselves to destroy and loot South African owned businesses in Nigeria. Social media is equally on fire, as there is a lot of back and forth, including threats from Nigerian-born and South African-born celebrities. Is this approach the solution? What are your general thoughts on this? You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So yesterday was crazy in Lagos State.
Yeah,
I think if others in Ibadan, if you other pockets,
Enugu as well.
Yeah. And Nigerians, obviously, it seems as if they have no confidence in the government, pushing for what our demands are. What are your thoughts on these attacks?
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, yes.
Okay, so seeing those attacks on social media, I just felt that we have lost the essence. We have forgotten what we are fighting for again. And this is what happens when we don't have trust in our government, when we think our government cannot defend us. Because we end up, you know, destroying goods of Nigerians in those malls. I saw a lot of goods destroyed in ShopRite yesterday on social media. These are businesses run by Nigerians. The South Africans provided that ShopRite as a platform, but the business owners are Nigerians. And so we have started hurting ourselves again with this. That is my fear.
How many South Africans do you know? If you know the South African here in Nigeria, please raise your hand. One.
We don't. We don't have them.
We have them now.
No, I'm just saying, the point is that
there are not many of them, is what we're saying. I understand.
So we end up hurting ourselves.
Yes. So for me, I feel that the protests, because there were protests, especially I think in the Ikeja Mall.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but then of course, hoodlums, you know, hijacked the protest, and that is what happens usually when things like that happen. And I'm happy that there are videos, and I hope that our police force will be able to pick up those people who were looting and ransacking offices, because this is not the solution. This is foolishness 2.0.
I'm telling you.
Because, yes, now, they are killing you in South, they are killing your people in South Africa, then you, the Nigerian, you're now looting your Nigerian brothers' businesses. What are you doing? So the best thing to do, the protests are important, and then I'm happy also that celebrities, because whether we like it or not, those people seem to have, those people have influence. So they are speaking up. People like Tiwa Savage has already decided not to be part of a festival that is happening in South Africa. I know Burna Boy, although his approach is not really my style, you know, but he spoke against it as well. So I feel that it is important that everybody who has influence, who has influence, should talk about this so that people will listen. And they are listening because their president is speaking. I mean, we didn't see that. We have cried about these xenophobic attacks many times. We hardly ever see anybody at that level.
Have you heard
yes, so our vice president has spoken.
sending an envoy to
Yeah,
South Africa.
our vice president has spoken, so the government is speaking.
Our vice president has spoken. It was actually at a meeting. Was it Bauchi or somewhere?
Yes.
And it was asked by the media person. So we've not heard somebody told officially, an official statement from the president,
but they've
yet to hear that.
Envoy
now
to
today,
South Africa.
in 2017, they sent an envoy. Remember when it happened? The Minister of Foreign Affairs actually,
let's just hope.
in 2017, this drama happened again, and they sent an envoy.
Based on how Nigerians have comported themselves over the series of killings of Nigerians in South Africa and how we've comported ourselves in Nigeria, I think this is where reasonability leaves you. They've pushed us straight to the wall. Shame on South African government for refusing to deal with a crime that happened on their land. Nigerian government cannot go there and prosecute a crime. It's a statement of fact. We know that. When their police officers see crime happen in broad daylight and refuse to make an arrest, if you refuse to investigate to the point you have a prosecution and a conviction so that Nigeria will even have trust in the system over there. And then the reports keep coming. They will do these crimes, they will make a video of it, they will send it home. How can you put a human being on fire, make a video of it, and send it, put it on social media? It was, of course, to provoke a reaction. And you've gotten the reaction, whether it's reasonable or not. This is not to justify what has happened yesterday. But then you've pushed the people to the wall. We too, we have unemployed youth here. They will think, these people are claiming economic issues there. Okay, now we too, we know how to let's take advantage. People have criminal inclination everywhere.
But do we realize that destroying a supermarket right now, the issue with the supermarket is that the revenue they make goes to their country. So if you find stringent laws where you tax them such that that money doesn't get to their country, that's where it affects their own economy. But by destroying the goods in that supermarket, doesn't do anything to the South African government.
Sadly, the investments that they have here are largely tied to Nigerian money. They are just it's just the franchise that we're dealing with.
So true.
And they have a market to export because they are farming country, they have agriculture, stronger, their fruits and all that. They have a market here to export to. So what we are doing is doing ourselves, actually.
Let me take this call.
But, okay, go on and take your call.
Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks for calling, Joe.
Good morning. Please, I want to just add to what has been happening since 2-3 days now.
Okay.
Yes, we can actually blame South Africans. We can actually blame their government. And for myself, I think it's a time for sober reflection to our own government here in Nigeria. Because you just asked a question, how many South Africans are in Nigeria? Somebody should raise hands. Nobody raised hands. Why? I think they feel that their economy is working. Please, I'm using this opportunity to ask our government to work on our own economy. If their economy is working, number of Nigerians out there, you can't see Dubai citizens in outside anywhere because the economy is working. You can't see United States citizens anywhere because the economy is working. Please, I'm begging, I'm pleading. Let the Nigerian government let us fix our economy so that our people will come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I know this is, you know, Miriam said something yesterday, and I was thinking about it when I was going home, that, you know, when things happen like this, we are very quick to blame our government and the economy. But this is an issue of crime in South Africa. So whether our economy is working or not, how do you take care of immigrants in your country? That's what we're looking at the moment. Now, I also believe that the South African government, the security officials, I don't think they are strong enough to handle issues. The president has come out to say that it's unacceptable, but we still need to see action. Yes, we need to see action. I always believe body language. So if you're saying something, match it with your actions, match it with your doing.
All right. See, there was a post that I actually saw on Facebook that a man called Yinka Adebayo wrote this dispassionately, because it seems our government is bereft of ideas on how to approach it. We're just thinking, send an envoy, do this. What exactly? And he said, I'll take a few minutes to read this, but I'd like to come to the audience. What are your own thoughts when you saw the attacks in South Africa and then Nigerians reacting? What are your own general views on this? I'd like to take 1 or 2 comments from the audience. Anybody? Go ahead, please.
First of all, I think it's a shame on our government. The president himself supposed to come out officially, as in give a press statement to Nigerians and everybody at large to calm everybody minds on what is going on. In places like USA and the rest, you will see their president coming out to give official press statement on their citizens to calm the mind.
So you want to hear from your leader?
Yeah. Yes. Can I ask you a question?
If
the president of Nigeria comes out and condemns, which they usually do, condemn this and calm nerves, is he going to solve that a crime has happened in someone else's country? How consoling and reassuring would that be? Yeah. Just by making...
Let me just go answer.
Not only coming out to just condemn, he should also travel there.
Okay, he's sending an envoy.
Yeah.
Let me take this call. I'll come to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thanks for calling. Are you there?
I'm here.
Morning,
right.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Good morning to you, ladies. Good morning to all the audience, too. Hello?
Go ahead, you're live, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, I want to go along with the first caller. And our president, you just come out and say something. You should not just keep quiet. This involves Nigerians' lives. It's not about sending envoy. I get me? So, you see, you can't try this under the former, under Obasanjo. Baba will have done something drastic against this. We can't continue this way. Okay. They are killing our people.
Thank you very much, Shegun.
So I think people are saying that they want to hear him speak. But I also know that underneath the video of the vice president speaking, a lot of people are saying, you're just talking. You're just only talking. So the thing is, there are steps that people expect us to take. So you talk first, then show us through actions. And one of the things I've heard a lot of people have advised is, shut down the embassy there in South Africa and ask the High Commissioner here in South Africa, oh, yeah, thank you, sir. Please go back home. And then advise Nigerians, please come home, because obviously you cannot be protected where you are.
But the embassy has been raided already.
Even then, that will be open to criticism, but that is one option that the government can do. Shut down the embassy and recall our own ambassadors over there. But then, businesses here, we have done it before, and it's really cost us. Some people have suggested nationalization again. And we know in the past, when it was done in the 90s, in the 70s then, people criticized it, and foreign investors thought this was wrong. That, so it's not right for me to put my money where it's not secured, where a government can nationalize tomorrow. Yes. But then they keep pushing us to the wall. What exactly can we do that is beyond criticism? That's what I'm saying. Okay, let me read. There's a gentleman called Yinka Adebayo. I saw it on Facebook yesterday, and he said this. He said that if I were the president of Nigeria, I would immediately direct the High Commission in South Africa to be closed down, as he said, and said that I would ensure they take stock of all the properties that have been lost in South Africa, and for the estimated value of what was destroyed, and even the amount of citizens of us that died, and then get the South African government to pay the value of what was lost within a certain period. Yes. If they don't do that, they'll launch a diplomatic route, which includes suspension of the AU and other stringent measures, travel measures, and all that. Those are dispassionate solutions a citizen is preferring to Nigerian government. Fantastic. We need to, so aside from just sending an envoy there, we need to be clear on what we are demanding of the government of South Africa to ensure our citizens are safe.
Yes, and that's the question I have. When you say, why are we the ones sending an envoy? I feel that it's like we're going there cap in hand again. I feel it should be the other way around. South Africa will send an envoy to say, please, we're here to say we're sorry and we're looking into it. So I don't understand the World Economic Forum was supposed to come up this year in Cape Town. Yes. Some countries are pulled out. Yes. They said they're not coming. Zambia has a match with them. This morning I heard on radio, they pulled out. Yeah. They said they're not playing. So we should stop every relation with them as much as possible. But we've continued the relation over the years when this xenophobic attack continued to happen. Then South African government, please, look for ways to engage your people. In South Africa, there are other businesses, but they chose to attack African nationals. People from Africa, other black countries, rather than attack the white investment. Chinese have invested there. And it's important to dispel businesses. It's important to dispel some facts, some myths out there. South African economy is not better than Nigeria. Let me tell you why. Because unemployment is 28%. Okay. Growth is barely 1%. Murder rate in Joburg is very high. Oh, yeah. Suicide in Cape Town is world record. Mariah. Stop blaming your own government. Mariah, so why are people traveling there? That's why we need to learn. So, where are we going there? To answer. Please answer. Nigerians know how to make good out of something bad. Nigeria, I met a Nigerian investor who stayed in Côte d'Ivoire and made his millions there.
When people were not looking,
bad now.
no, he looked at the market. It was saturated here. Everybody's doing the same business here. And found a market there nobody had created. He went there, he created that market. Today is the only distributor of that particular goods in the whole of Cote d'Ivoire.
So why can't we do the same thing?
The same thing is what happened. We see Nigerian opening businesses. South Africans fail to cap into. Even importation of cars, we they do there. And then you go there. What you do to react is that, you know, we're taking over your economy. When a minister for the police affairs is talking that we're taking over your economy, he's not talking to their young ones that you to till the soil and make money.
Let me take this call. I'll come to you. Okay. Thanks for calling. Are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Habib, go ahead, please.
I really enjoy your program.
Thank
He's
you.
a leader that cannot fight for his own freedom. How can he fight for his own citizen freedom? So what I wanted to tell is that, do you watch what happened in Texas?
Texas.
The governor came out, the governor was even crying on national TV. So what of our own citizens that is dying in Africa here, just ordinary Africa here, they cannot even defend us. Talking of taking a bullshit.
Point taken, Habib. Thank you very much for your views. Yes.
So the typical Nigerian is smart, intelligent, dogged, rugged. Anyhow you want it, they can give it to you. Ambitious. And they thrive all over the world. Anywhere you find them, in America, in China, they have their quarters, they thrive, they do businesses, they excel. But when it comes to Nigeria, when they come back here, we find it very difficult to have that type of thriving that we have outside the country in Nigeria. So what is the problem? That still tells me that the system here isn't working.
We know that.
So we should fix the system and not say that, and not compare that the economy in South Africa is better than the economy, or the economy in Nigeria is better than the economy there. Let us fix our place.
I have to go on a break. I have to go on a break. When I come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
All right. Thanks for staying with us. I'm going to take one or two comments from our audience. Go ahead, sir, please.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Listening to the points that have been raised, I look at it as inhumanity, first of all, because if you look at this attack, it's the blacks who are involved. So I look at it as inhumanity from black to black. That's point one. Point two, we have a failed system, economic-wise and all other areas. I tell you this, if the system was working in Nigeria, first of all, we would not have Nigerians living in other countries. That is the truth. In other words, you live here in Nigeria, you run your business in Nigeria, but it's because of the system. That's why Nigerians are moving to other countries. And if you look at it, when a foreigner is running a business in your country, he is rendering a service to you. Yes. He has come there, he said that there is something that people in this country need. Nationals are not providing it, and I can provide every time.
So if you have that information, you will not go and destroy a business that is serving you in Nigeria. Let's take a few tweets.
Study the business and see how you can create competition for that person.
Simple.
Eventually push it back to his country.
Exactly.
Why the only way is to kill him? God bless you.
Joel's call is neither here nor there. SA, that South Africa also has economic problems with unemployment. The fact we travel there and don't come here is a cultural thing. Some people are more aggressive and likely to travel than others. That Radio Soldier says the looting is not a response to the killings. Nigerians are peaceful. This is a reaction to the economic meltdown in the country. Nigerians were triggered by the killings.
So let me take this one. Ayodeji Yusuf says, I believe getting a direct information from a reputable Nigerian in South Africa will give us a clearer picture of the activities of some Nigerians which sparked the attack. Not all South Africans are xenophobic and not all Nigerians are saints over there. Yes, we've heard, I got 2 calls yesterday. One from South Africa insisting on how Nigerians are not comporting themselves properly there. But what we're discussing here is loss of lives and the total disregard for it. So there's no justification that for the behavior of Nigeria that meets, you know, taking their lives outside the laws of the land, taking their lives by mob and action like that. So we cannot be debating how Nigerians have comported themselves at this point, where we see videos of our people being put on fire. Even if they're not Nigerians, they're other Africans. Nobody should be killed like that.
But at the same time, we must also borrow,
And we'll get to that. When we come back home, we'll get to that point.
Okay, all right.
So now we're discussing lives.
He also says you can't break diplomatic ties, that's close embassies, as a first response to mob action. Ask our embassy to make an estimate of losses and ask the SA government to pay with compensation for those killed. Then ask AU to respond.
Well,
so basically agreeing...
We need to respond. We need to actually ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Remember 2017 when this thing happened? He was supposed to... He sent an envoy. What was agreed, we don't know. What has he done so far in the last 2 years to ensure, to have found a way to get the South African government to stem these attacks? We don't know. And all he's saying is, all we get from his tweet is enough is enough. Sir, that's not enough.
We even have, I was the House of Reps speaker at the time, before, who was part of the envoy that they sent to South Africa from the House of Reps in 2017 to respond. Now they've come back and cut short their break to have a sit-in so that they can discuss these issues as well. I'd like to see what they follow up from their last report and what they would suggest to government.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up on this. Let me just take one final comment from our audience. Go ahead, please. Good morning.
The first thing I understand in this kind of situation is that we Nigerians, we don't appreciate and value ourselves. I traveled to a stone throw country, Ghana. I started something that they have been doing there. But when they realized I'm a Nigerian, they brought the kudos to me that when Nigeria does anything, they are good at it. We don't appreciate ourselves in the entire world here. We did not appreciate ourselves. So we going to another country is just to explore, just to give what we have here, to let them understand that we have this, so we can share it with you people. And that is love, because we have that feelings that we can give to our neighbors. We are brothers keepers. Right. And we are Africans.
Yes, we are brothers keepers.
We are Africans. So meaning that Africans should love ourselves. We are black, for crying out loud. The video I saw yesterday, we were all black. Like the colors is not. I can't just understand why we are giving that kind of treating to ourselves. Right.
On that note,
it's sad. It's very sad.
Thank you very much. A lot of Nigerians share your pain, trust me. And it's painful, but as I said, we cannot take laws into our own hands. We need to trust that our government indeed will take the bull by the horn and help us solve this problem. We're going to follow up on this story. We're not ending it here. We'll have to wrap up now. We're going to break. When we come back, we'll discuss adult literacy. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Right. Thanks for staying with us. Most of us have probably heard in one way or the other about adult literacy. According to reports, 1 adult in 5 houses cannot read or write well. On the show today, we have a special consultant with United Nations, Erezi Edoreh, to enlighten us on the difference between adult literacy and adult education. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
You can join us on 07080668014. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets? What's the difference between adult literacy and adult education?
For us to define that, you have to take literacy and education out of it. Okay. Now, let's define literacy. Now, literacy is basically simply the ability to read and write. Now, if we take education from adults, what's education? Education is simply the process of facilitating learning. It's a process, or the process of acquiring knowledge, beliefs, skills, and all. So, literacy is under education.
Okay.
So when you say adult literacy, in general, put them together, it means adults or the population age 15 and above who are able to read and write and understand basic, simple statements. That's adult literacy. Okay. So when you talk about the adult literacy rate, you get to know the amount of people 15 above who can read and write and understand simple, basic statements. So education is the process.
Okay, let me let you know.
So
go ahead.
This reading and writing you're talking about, is it just about English language? Because I've had people in my area growing up who were not vast. They couldn't read, they couldn't write, but they handled businesses and they were successful and they could speak fluent their language, read their local language. Yeah. So would I call such people illiterate?
The answer is no. Now, literacy in our time is expanded. It's not just knowing how to read and write.
In English?
So, yeah, not just that. Okay. So literacy could also be competency and knowledge in a specific field. Yeah, so if I can speak and read Yoruba, I'm Yoruba literate. So if I'm good in computer, I'm computer literate. Okay. Digital literacy, financial literacy. You get. So it expands.
I listened to Professor Sophie Edoreh before she passed at the celebration for 2017 or 2016, I think, where she talked about an average African who's skilled at doing a particular form of business, because our form of education is from parents to child, handed down craftsmanship, skills within families, and those people shouldn't be termed uneducated just because they cannot communicate or read or write in another person's language, or that they cannot transliterate in Yoruba language, because the Yoruba alphabets are, of course, transliteration today, because we're not allowed time to develop our own alphabet structure. How do you agree?
Okay.
And, how do you...
to answer that question, we'll have to define education also and break education down. Okay. Now, education, like I said, is the process of learning or facilitating learning. Now, there are two types of education. There's informal education and there's a formal education. Now, the formal education is what we all know. It's in different stages. It starts from preschool, kindergarten, primary, secondary, and college. So that's the formal education. Yes. So the informal education is what you're talking about. Informal education could be at home, like from the parents to the child, learning some skills and all. That person, remember we said education is learning a skill, belief, culture, or whatever. So that's informal. So that person is educated. So the issue on ground is the ability to read and write, because we know that it translates to the economic and social development.
Local and international?
English, yes.
Okay, that's the problem I was trying to...
That was where my question was going to.
Okay.
Because this conversation is really about people who have said, well, I have not been educated, I have not gone through the 4 walls of school, but I am able to do my businesses. Why is it important then for that person to be educated or English literate?
Very good. Okay, I'll use a true life story to answer that question. Yeah, I give free adult education to illiterate youth and adults in Nigeria. So I'll give you a story of one of our students who does businesses. Very good, he makes money, makes profits and all. So he wants to keep his money. Now he has to go to the bank. He can't open the bank account. But fortunately for him, I think 1 or 2 ways someone helped him. But when he goes to the bank every day, do you know what happens? A security guard in the bank collects 500 naira from him just to fill the teller to pay him his money. He loses 500 naira on a daily basis. You can imagine the amount of money.
He's losing everything. And I see a lot of older people.
Bank an account officer to do that for him?
Yeah, but what opens you up? Let me just say, I've seen a lot of older people who go to the ATM and they have to wait for the security man to help them punch the buttons. Or sometimes when they punch the buttons, the instructions they give them in English, they can't read that. So I understand how lack of English literacy opens you up and makes you vulnerable to people who can
if we want to speak critically to the development of our country, and to be sure that we're talking futuristically, not today. If we want to take that seriously, it goes based on what Professor Odule was saying. That might not be the ideal approach, because we see in France, in China, they don't have their ATMs in English. They have it in their own local.
They even have talk back.
They prioritize their own local dialect. So the question to you is that if we truly want development and to be and the skill set, should I force my adult mother or aunt who doesn't know how, who's not literate in English, to go and learn English, or do I just make her harness that skill she's earning, maybe sewing, whatever it is, become the best that she's competitive internationally, regardless of her understanding English or not?
Okay. So the question is, what is our official language? Generally official.
How did we arrive at it?
Somebody developed it. Now we can question.
Sure.
We as young people should question why it's our official language.
Exactly.
No,
that's what we're saying.
Yes. I understand totally what you're saying. Now, the countries you're talking about, it's fine. It's good. It's a way to develop the country. But you notice that it's the official language that they use. Let's say China.
Mandarin.
Let's say China, for example. That's the official language. Yeah, so their ATMs, whatever they have, is in Chinese, right?
Yeah.
That's because that's the official language. Now, as we speak right now, we're on your view, right? What language are we using right now?
English.
Why?
All right, that brings me to the question of, is it possible?
It's okay to clap for him, please.
Is it possible that we as Nigerians start looking into our lingua franca? Because the truth is, a lot of our aged women, women who do not, in rural areas, who do not speak English, have a form of communication, which is pidgin. They speak pidgin fluently. There's even a Bible in pidgin. Yes. So should we look at harnessing, because what I see, all this emphasis on English is more like neo-colonialism. They are still trying to put us under and control us. Shouldn't we be looking at developing ourselves to stand and be authentic? Growing up, I saw fashion models who couldn't speak English, but they were doing amazing internationally, and they had interpreters. I saw that. So they placed emphasis on the richness of their language. Shouldn't we be looking towards that direction?
Yes. We should be.
Yes,
but you know, I'm not against it anyway. But you know, it's going to cost a whole lot.
Yes,
you know why?
Time.
Yeah. How many languages do we have in Nigeria?
Plenty.
Many.
Now, it's good. Yeah, basically, you use the local language of a person for better understanding. You get, that's why we use local language. Yeah, when you're trying to speak with someone and you suddenly turn into the local language, you see the person, he understands better, right? Yeah, it's good, but it's going to cost a whole lot. And remember I said education or literacy is the key to an individual's economic and social development. And I did not say literacy in terms of understanding how to speak and write English. You understand? So as long as you are literate, whether it's English or whatever language, as long as you are literate, it is a key to your economic and social development, whichever skills you have.
Yes, so for me, I even believe that whatever we want futuristically for us, right, this is where we live, this is where we are right now. And we want people who are living today to be able to navigate, you know, businesses or whatever it is that they're doing, and do it without being defrauded or paying for it. So for me, I would like you to say something to some people who are watching us right now who do not understand English and do not think that they need to. Why should it be important?
Okay, so I started with the fact that literacy is a key to an individual's economic and social development. Right? So when you are literate, literacy is more like the prerequisite, the first step into learning other basic skills. It's the first step.
Let me now ask you about your students, the adults. How receptive are they to learning? Because if there's a woman out there or a father out there that wants to know, they find it difficult, or are they quick to learn the new language?
Okay. They are quick to learn, and it's also a challenge for them. So, you know, they're adults. They have lots of things in their head. They have kids. They have house rent to pay. They have responsibilities and all. But you see dedication in them because they want to change their lives. Yes. So
we have any testimonies of those?
Sure. I'll give you a testimony. The very first testimony I had, first of all, my mom attended education at a late age. So that was what gave me the passion to say it's really possible. Yes. And currently, she is a chief accountant in one of the big universities in Nigeria. Wow. Yeah. So it made me to dive into this profession based on my passion for it. So when I started the project, we started teaching them. So I was waiting for the first testimony. And guess what happened? Just 3 months into the class, I was actually teaching. And one of the students ran into the classroom from the gate. Ran into the classroom and I started shouting, "Uncle, uncle, stop the class, stop the class." I was like, why? He said, "Everybody stop." I'm like, what happened? She shouted, "I went to bank today, and I see the teller myself." And everybody started dancing and jumping. I was like, wow. So at that point in time, I shed tears literally in the classroom.
That's liberating, actually.
Yeah.
Let me take this call. Yakub, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, Mora.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
And good morning to your guests and the audience in the studio.
Morning.
Mora, I think I quite agree with your guests this morning. We find it difficult in this our country when we are talking about literacy, particularly when we are talking about English. The reason being that we cannot use our local dialect. I agree with it because of our diversity in the nature, diversity in culture and all that. But Mora, do you know something? If you go to public schools today, especially those of private schools, our dialect, our local dialect is faded out now. You find it difficult to know where there in a public school, they are teaching our children our local dialect, especially Yoruba, Hausa, and others. Yes. But if you go to private schools, Morayo, you can never find a teacher that will say that I'm teaching your children the Yoruba language, for example. It's not good. Why China is higher today is that they use their local dialect to teach their children everything. And then that is why they are doing everything. They are doing very well. But in our own situation, it's going to be difficult. But if you can be able to see your guests, this particular guest, if you can be able to find like almost 100 of these particular guests this morning in our country, it's going to go a long way. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Yakub. Interesting.
Can I take? So Andrew in Stratham says, our future language or official language should be Eno or Wazobia. There is an ancient lingua franca in East Africa called Aramaic. It was used to trade in ancient Africa from Uganda to Egypt. In fact, Jesus spoke Aramaic in his time. Then somebody asks a question, Soft says, a lot of boys in Nigeria have jumped into Yahoo due to the fact that they did not go to school, but have a way of hacking bank overseas. What literacy is that, please?
Yahoo literacy. You know, what you do reminds me of Mind Your Language. I don't know if you've seen the series. It's an old series, Mind Your Language, and you had people, adults from different parts of the world coming to learn English. And I was wondering if you had some stories to give us about people, you know, struggling to learn the language and how it...
Yeah. In our school, in our project, we have students from Togo. We have students from Ghana. They're all there. Yeah, they're all there.
So I wanted to commend you because I listened carefully to you, even though I had objections about this form of literacy and education. But I commend the fact that you're not pushing out certificates, acquiring certificates. What you see adults who fail to go to school early do is just find a way to get the certificates. But you're talking about the benefits of being able to do things by yourself because you can understand the document. So I must commend you for that. And I think that's what we should be advocating. Not that, you know, just find a way to get a WAEC or a degree.
So,
finally.
Okay, finally. So we focus on 3 outcomes during adult literacy. 1, to be able to help the adults to have literacy skills, able to read and write, and also to be able to have skills that will give them employment, even at their age. Yes, and also...
What kind of jobs are out there for them?
Yeah, we have students who are clerks.
Okay. Because it's important that some of our grandparents are home while doing nothing. So you can actually help them with this training to learn some skills and then become more...
Even for nannies.
Yeah, we have a 70-year-old student, a mother, and she wants to be a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Yeah, she still has life. She has her life.
You know what? Wait, during your next graduation or whatever, let us know. We'll like to come and say the lady and bring them on the show.
That would be nice.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll discuss something else. Impact of social media on young people. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So youth are predominantly the users of internet for social interaction. These sets of people, according to reports, are the ones who cannot imagine life without social media. A lot of skills such as communication skills, interpersonal skills, critical thinking are being swept under the carpet by Nigerian young people because of their incessant use of social media. How can these skills be harnessed even without us? So joining us on the show is the teens life coach and author When Fishes Climb Tree, Mr. Kingsley Obom-Egbule. Welcome to the show. You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. One of the major issues I have with young people today is that critical thinking skills and even reflective thinking. You explain to a millennial, for example, okay, we're boiling yam, and I say, use the fork to touch the yam to be sure it's done. When it's done, dish it out and put the eggs. You've explained the process. Next time you're cooking yam, the person is just waiting for the yam to be done.
Without the egg.
Just tell me it's done and I'll dish it. You don't want to go through the process of checking, you know? They don't want to see the process again. Just give me that microwave. Is the yam done? I will serve it. Don't, you know, so how can we develop these skills in young people, especially because they're so addicted to social media?
Wow, that sounds like an accusation. Well, interestingly, those skills are teachable skills. Reflective thinking, communication, they are all skills that can be learned and can be taught. But if you look at the fact that social media has just been around for less than 15 years, and some of the millennials we're talking about now, most of them are still trying to find their feet. It means that it is really not social media that is responsible for the lapses we're seeing.
Uncle, welcome.
It is the fact that there is a wrong socialization from the home front. And that socialization, because social media is a revealer. It is revealing what has been there.
Simple.
So, what social media has done is it has revealed things that has been there with us all along.
Let me pause you for a quick second. So, if you're saying that there's something called interpersonal skills,
yeah.
I'm not talking with you anymore because I have my phone. I don't need to relate with you anymore because I have my phone. That was the so in the past we could relate, but it's not there. So, are you saying that social media didn't cause that?
Let me take it further. Before social media, we had TV. We had 24-hour TV, isn't it?
Yes, we did.
And by the way, when you say social media is technology enhancing social interaction. So if we were poorly interacting before, social media wasn't it now.
Ew. Don't make me okay. Sir, I'm happy that you're here. Because when I was thinking about it in my mind, I was saying, let's not make it sound like social media is evil and terrible. People have succeeded. People's businesses have grown using this platform. So the problem is not the tool.
No, it's
the
not
problem
the tool.
is the people behind the tool.
That's it.
Now, let me give you a critical example. I had an auntie who lived all her life to show people...
Calm down,
to show people what she didn't have. So she would borrow money to buy clothes to go for Owambe. She will give her kids gari to drink. When visitors come, fried rice and salad will show up sharp. And so that person now, and another thing she had was she wasn't usually happy when something good happens to someone else. So now that person taking that character to social media will show when people are putting up pictures and then you get depressed because you're not happy in yourself. You think everybody else is doing the same thing you're doing. So for me, let's focus more on building the right values for ourselves and not blaming the tool.
That's it.
Okay, point taken.
I need to stress this. I read that article. You know, first of all, it is fallacy.
Okay.
You know, in logic, that's what you call fallacy of hasty generalization, where you take a small and you spread it. That is what the article did. Now, the kind of young people that I work with, one of the things I do, I teach writing skills.
Okay.
And I found out that the teachers who taught them English never taught them how to write. And don't forget, you schooled abroad. Writing is taught.
Yes.
It is not just English language. They teach you how to write. In other words, part of your English language curriculum is the ability to express yourself in black and white. Now, what do we do here? We juggle everything together. And all you do is they say, tell us about how you spent your holiday. You come to school and start mumbling things together. You can't write effectively. So who is teaching our kids how to write? Now, if nobody's teaching them how to write, now social media is kind of eliciting the ability to communicate in writing.
It's abbreviated. Most of the things I write is abbreviated.
I'm coming.
I don't write abbreviations.
Hold on. The abbreviation is because you want to write fast. Now, the kids who translate that into the exam hall, that is the exception. Yeah, that's the problem.
Can I use that example? No. Let me give you an example, a real-life example. You know, when we speak, we used to say aren't. You know, and I remember one biology test I did. I used a lot of aren't, blah, blah, blah. The teacher just crossed it because I was used to abbreviating in speaking, and I took it to the hall. So it's not the problem of...
Is it informal writing or informal
writing? It was informal. I took it was a formal exam, and I took informal language to write a formal exam. So we need to teach the children differently. But I wanted to say this. There's this thing when we were growing up, before social media, when we would sit down to have a conversation, adults would have their conversation. There were times when children could join in a conversation. But what social media does is, an adult is making a conversation, and everybody can jump in. And of course, what do you expect? A 2-year-old will come up with a 2-year-old opinion. A 15-year-old will come up with a 15-year-old opinion. So you now find yourself as an adult fighting children that if you were sitting there in front of them, you'd have said, just sit down and say, you know, adults are speaking right now, you know. So it's not the problem of social media, but bring everybody under one roof.
Give me 5 because... Do you know that most of our private schools today, teachers are not empowered to discipline? Teachers don't have the power
to flog.
The word flog is even out of the way. If you try to upbraid a child, you're told you are
abusing the child.
Yeah, bringing the child's morale, the child's self-esteem down.
You're destroying the child.
So our children are empowered these days. But you see, there's also an extreme. You have the kids in public schools who are constantly being punished. Now, these kids, the moment they find their wings, they take it to the extreme. So that is what you're seeing on social media. But it's not the tool that is responsible. Yes, it is the reality of our socialization. Yeah.
Thank you,
we need to accept the fact that we've been poorly socialized.
How do we bring our values into the present-day socialization that we call social media and these technologies that we see? So I lost a cousin. I mentioned it on the show. And all I could do was make a call. I felt it was wrong. Because that wasn't the way I was raised. What the proper thing to do is to visit my auntie and say, sorry about your loss. But I've been so busy, and the day of social media, the first stupid thing that came to my mind was make a call. I picked my phone and I dropped it back, and this is rubbish.
No, that's not
so. No, how do we now bring those, how do we balance with this day, you know, the ease of doing things? I want to learn a course, I just quickly Google this. I did just ask the speed and everything and this easy life.
Let me help you there. I always say this, and fault me if you will. The things we call values were really not values. Yes. You know why? They were not tested. And values that are not tested.
Please, sir, rewind.
Oh, shoot, guys, you gotta come back, sir.
I said what we call values are not values indeed unless they are tested. Until your values are tested, that is when you will know you have values or not.
Let me try to understand you. For example, if they told us growing up that you must kneel down to greet your father as a show of respect, right? Now, over time, if we test it, that indeed, after 30, 40 years, you still respect your father, or something your father did that even you lost respect for him, but is kneeling down for your father something you test and over time and say, okay, doesn't mean that I'm respecting my father. If it shows that you actually still don't respect your father because even if you diss your mother or whatever it is, so that kneeling down did not solve your problem.
But I'll take it further. Let me take it further. Let me take it further.
Because I want to reverse it here.
They say, don't have sex before marriage. It's a value, isn't it?
Yes.
It's supposed to be a value.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's been tested.
Hold on. You've been in the house. No opportunity to have a boyfriend. Now you went on campus. There's no mom, no dad. Your roommate said, that boy is a nice boy. I said, but the guy has been eyeing you, but there's no room. Don't worry, I'll excuse you guys when he comes. Now you have an opportunity.
Yes.
And because there is an opportunity, you sleep with that boy. Do you have a value?
Okay, but then when you
were instructed. You were given an instruction. Now what we've been living with are instructions.
Yes,
the advent of social media simply unveiled the fact that we never really had this superpower.
To say this must be a subjective. The whole of Africa is on this table. No, quickly rebut and say this must be subjective. Right. Because, just as you said, let's call it instructions. I was handed those same instructions over the years. 4 girls, my father said, go into the universities, explore. I got the opportunity, I dated. I tested the values, and I see them as the strongest kind of values to hold on to. So hold on, no, don't help me, Don't help me. Don't help me.
Finish now, let her respond. We're here.
That is why, what Morel said, somebody might test it and still have deep respect for her father.
Yes.
Are you saying after testing it, does it remain a value, or are we then saying whether or not until it's tested, whether or not it's tested, it's no longer a value? It's not a value.
What I'm hearing him say, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. What I'm hearing him say is that there are other factors that led to that. The fact that you're pious, the fact that you don't do this.
This is not about being pious.
The other factor is not because you're given instruction.
When you've tested your values, do you arrive at a choice that it becomes a value? Or are we saying after the test? Okay, no, without test, straight away.
Can I take it further?
Yes.
Can I take it further?
Please do, sir. I don't understand.
What makes the difference between values and instructions are the understanding behind instructions.
That's it. Now you have arrived at the table. Standing way back.
Hold on. We're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Now, lie prostrate when you see elders. Instruction. Why do you lie prostrate?
Out of respect.
No. I can lie prostrate without respecting you.
No.
I can lie prostrate. In my heart, I'm cursing you.
I'm standing up, sir.
But when you tell me that whenever you lie prostrate, the elders bless you. The gods of the land.
The reason.
So it goes in the head. Now, hold on. When you don't lie prostrate, the elders curse you. The land, XYZ, XYZ. So the child knows.
Reason. You train your children with reason. Don't instruct. Nima, let them understand.
Let me give you another one.
Please.
If a boy touches you, what happens?
You get pregnant.
Was it an instruction? It was a faulty instruction.
Yes.
Now, a boy touches you, no pregnancy.
Yeah.
Wow.
This that means you must lie down.
It starts to erode every other instruction.
Yes.
So what we need to do
so because they told you that they touch you, you get pregnant. And because they touched you, you didn't get pregnant. It means that it totally erodes every other down. No, automatically people be lying to you. You're not starting other things they actually know to do. Yes.
No.
Social media. Forget social media. We're not talking social media again.
Calm down. You're jumping too.
Okay.
So we're not discussing values here. We're discussing instructions because, just as you said, by the time it's given with reason, it's a value that you live with. Yes. But when we use value first and define it the way you did, of course, wherever we jump, and then people would misunderstand that we have values and we should have values.
So you don't run away with that. You know, values are lived. You demonstrate values.
Over time.
Now, when your parents tell you to do things you never see them do, how does it come across? How does it come across to you?
Hypocrisy. Yes.
Now, so when you want to nail down values into a child, it goes beyond the verbal expression.
Yes.
A lot comes in. The child needs to have that understanding. The value has to be modeled over a period of time, then the benefit you derive from living with that value. For instance, you are in a hall and they say, no noise because what? Examination is happening. And you ask yourself, so if I'm making noise, how does it affect
the examination that's happening?
Can I give one example that is used in the North a lot? So women, when a child is teething and the first tooth it brings out, maybe just one in the middle, in a weird place, they'll say it's because you backed your child and you were fetching water from the well. As a child, it did not make sense to me. I said, how does fetching water from a well make your child grow weird teeth? But for me, I think it was a way of telling women not to go to fetch water from the well with your child on your back because it's risky, it could have fallen. So you now send it to you now tell this story to the next generation without telling them the why. So it makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
And then
there's no value.
Those are not values. Those are
No, but these are, yes.
In the South here, we also believe that
these are superstitions. But some of the values we have.
Well, after testing them, they remain values. That's what I'm saying.
Some of the values we have today, the advent of the 21st century has crushed all of them because they were not founded.
Sir, let's go back to social media.
No.
Still on this value issue. Now, how do we help people who are addicted to social media so much that is affecting their other lives? We have a major problem of people using the likes they have and the followers to judge their value. So they feel terrible when they post a picture and they don't have as much likes as Nima. And then and then they become depressed. So how do we help them to see that this is a different sphere and your life is your life?
Okay, now, social media is a virtual life. It's called virtual reality. Now, what is virtual? Virtual simply means it doesn't really exist.
Not true.
So, not true. So, that's the starting point. Let people know that, now, if I leave the studio, I'm going to take off this jacket. I brought this jacket because this place is cold. This is not how I dress on a normal day. So, if you're watching me right now and you're looking at me and you feel, wow, this guy don't blow, you're being deceived.
You could have borrowed the jacket.
That's another thing. So we need to learn to, first of all, come to terms with ourselves. Realization is the word. But ultimately, let's not miss this point. Everything on social media is a reflection of what has been.
I think we can end with that. So, because social media, everything we're doing is a reflection of what has been. And that happened because we've not tested the values we claim we have.
Yes.
So I think we're going to bring you back, sir.
Yes. We have to.
You are shaking a lot of tables that the whole of Africa. Yes. The whole of Africa is on this table. Let's come at this table.
Don't worry, this
all right, have a fabulous day. We'd like to appreciate and thank Cadbury Bonvita again for giving us lovely beverages earlier and cream slices for that lovely cake. Thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
When are you coming again?